on, swaying left, swaying right. Endless blue from day to night. Siren calling, feel the breeze, taste the ocean, salty seas. Siren calling, hearts collide, paradise where dreams reside. Barbecue smoke fills the air. Street stalls glow without a care. Red rice served with love so true. Callaghan shining in the view. Drums pounding in the distance. Dance ignites the night's persistence. Siren calling, feel the breeze, taste the ocean, salty seas. Siren calling, hearts collide, paradise where dreams reside. Tomorrow chants, they rise, they fall. History carved in every wall. Tinian whispers ancient lore. Siren soul forevermore. Siren calling, feel the breeze, taste the ocean, salty seas. Siren calling, hearts collide, paradise where dreams reside. Siren calling, feel the breeze, taste the ocean, salty seas. Siren calling, hearts collide, paradise where dreams reside. Dreams reside. Dreams
Are you or someone you know living with a mental illness? Have you experienced abuse or neglect, denial of services, or discrimination because of a mental illness or disability? You have rights. NM Posse is the Northern Marianas Protection and Advocacy Systems Incorporated, and we're here for you. Individuals diagnosed with mental illness have human, civil, and legal rights under federal and local law. No one should be mistreated, denied services, or discriminated against because of a disability. NM Posse's PIME program provides protection and advocacy for individuals with mental illness and provides information about your rights, advocacy and assistance for eligible individuals, and support in cases involving abuse, neglect, or discrimination. Services are confidential and provided at no cost to eligible individuals. To learn more, call NM Posse today at 670-235-7273 or 7274 or email gborja@nmposse.org.
Nina's Kitchen, so delicious. I need a burger and a soda with it. It tastes so great, got me so addicted. Let's hop in the car, gotta go and get it.
Even though everyone can hear me now because my microphone's already on. Good morning, Marianas. Yes, this is the perfect day. I have not had one sip of coffee, but that's what you get. And I'm telling you guys, we have a non-stop show going on today. You're here in the Ena's Kitchen Jam right now. I'm telling you, I don't know what your lunch plans are, but that's a great spot to get down to later today. Ena's Kitchen. I don't know what it's going to take to talk them into becoming a breakfast mecca at the base of Capitol Hill, but I'm just imagine all the goodness that you get with Ena's Kitchen and slapping it on some rice with some eggs. Like, that's going to be amazing. All right. Well, speaking of amazing, we have two amazing people who are going to be with us in studio this morning. Before we get to anything else, we're going to go right to our guest because we have a lot to talk about today. I mean, literally, it's going to be one after another. And then we've got a live groundbreaking, then meetings. It's going to be all serious all the time, except for the terrible jokes that I forced upon our two guests this morning. They're here. They heard them. They heard them firsthand, and they they're now going to be able to sue me for mental damaging and all that kind of stuff. Good morning. We have Aria and Mariana. The islands are not named after her, but they might be because we have such a big need for animal support out here. But Doc, thanks for coming out here. And Your Highness, your earthmanship or your earthiness. I don't know what is. Am I supposed to amen when you walk in the door? I didn't even do that.
That was pretty good. I'll take that.
All right. Well, thanks so much for being here with us this morning.
Thank you for having us.
Well, we've got a lot to get to today, and so normally when I get to hear about things that are happening with like the Saipan Humane Society, I'm usually, yay, there's a puppy coming in, or some kind of animal that we're going to be trying to get people to adopt. Today, it's a different story. So, maybe we could tell that story and what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, sure. Well, Aria, if you want to kind of like start it off, what started the whole, like what lit the fire of passion this past week? There's been a lot of discussions, a lot of things going on, a lot of planning for the future, but I think we should probably start with what kind of initiated all of this.
Absolutely. I thought about bringing you a box of puppies, but I figured Dr. Turner was even better.
Oh,
I don't know if I'm better than a box of puppies. Puppies are pretty cute.
But to start us all off, I know there's been a lot of noise online, if you've been paying attention, or anybody has happened to come across the animal side and community here on the islands. The past 2 weeks, there's been a lot of posts and a lot of not so fun to see things happening. And that kind of all started last weekend when a video circulated. There's a wonderful group of volunteers here on island who go to the Mayor's Dog Control Shelter every weekend. And they do so to walk the dogs and get them out of their kennels, usually for the first and last time, and to make sure that they all have water and food. And so during this past weekend, they took a video of a very adorable little kitten in a trap on the side near the dogs, and no food and water in the trap, unfortunately. Very sad situation. That video tugs on people's heartstrings, and it went viral on and off island. And so another rescue off island reached in. They knew the circumstances here. They know how limited resources are. They sponsored this kitten's adoption, medical costs, and potential flight. And so, of course, the volunteers were super excited. It was the weekend. There's no going back to the shelter on Sunday to pick up the kitten. So waited till Monday, and unfortunately, when the volunteer went in the morning to pick up the kitten, it was passed away in the crate, soaking wet and still without food and water. And so that obviously brings about quite a bit of questions from the community on and off island of how did this happen in a government shelter days and days over a weekend, and the tragedy that this kitten did have somewhere to go and unfortunately just did not make it there. And so we are here today to kind of elaborate on that and to answer questions here for anybody who's interested, and then also to show that clearly something is not working. This should not be happening in a government facility. It's not a normal occurrence anywhere else. And so to elaborate on potential options and solutions from there.
yeah, it's sad. It's terribly sad because, especially knowing that there was somebody who was ready to do something with this.
That was the most heartbreaking part.
Right. And who doesn't love a little kitten?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I know that the folks from the mayor's office, I can't imagine any of them are like, I don't really care. Like, I can't imagine that anyone did it intentionally, because like all the folks that I've known who have worked there have been really great. In fact, I know people who had to leave because they couldn't handle the heartbreak of having to deal with even euthanizing these dogs because it was like killing them.
Yes. It's a really challenging job to be not only the animal control side, but also to have to manage the animals in the shelter. Like, that is emotionally heartbreaking to have to do both sides. So absolutely, it's not an intentional thing that happened. It's not like anyone was malicious and, was like we don't want that kitten. And but it highlighted, a gap clearly in animal welfare. And so it's very much, well, how can we make this better? What are the other ways that we can function to be able to create a better system, not only for the animals, but also for the people involved? Because obviously we don't want animals to die, but we also want people to enjoy their job, and it's not enjoyable when you come into dead animals, on a somewhat regular basis. And so that's what a lot of the discussion has been. It says, okay, well, if we look at animal control, dog population management globally, what are the things that work? And we talked about that when John Peebler was here, because really the function of a shelter should be to house those animals that need to be sheltered, the animals that are injured or sick or a danger to the community. And what really helps with the population management isn't actually the shelter, because we can't just, even if you had 20,000 kennels, you can't just solve the problem by picking up all the animals off the street and putting them into the shelter. And so the way to truly manage a dog and cat population is to work on those trap, neuter, return programs. So that's where you sterilize the animal so that we're not continuing to contribute to the population. It's a huge part. And then obviously things like this, education for the community. We need to be responsible with our pets and don't let them free roam and have unwanted litters of puppies and kittens. And then you also need your law enforcement, animal, dog control to be able to go out there and cite people. That's what we'd like to see is like in Guam, they can actually cite. If your dog is free roaming, you get like a traffic ticket basically that you have to pay.
Wow.
So. That's one way to kind of ensure people are following the law. And then the last part, which would be kind of a cool portion and what some of the conversations will be about, is what do we need to change in the law to make this a bit stronger? Because right now you can't do the trap, neuter, return program. So how can we make that legal? What are some interesting ways that we can entice veterinarians to come here, because right now the only people that can come out and be a veterinarian you have to be licensed in the U.S. or in a U.S. territory. So it really limits who can come in and help. When we're so close and we get help for all other kinds of things from different places. So
Hey, what's up?
Is Dr. Lawrence there?
What's that?
Dr. Lawrence?
No, from the school?
Yeah.
Oh no, he was here yesterday.
Oh, man.
It's all
I was
right.
gonna ask him if he can drop us. We're late for the bus.
No, we're at Hopwood.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. How many of you guys are there?
4.
4 of you guys down to Hopwood?
There's 3 down there.
Really?
Yeah, 3 down there. 1 of me.
Oh my God, I have an idea. You guys want to do this for a little bit? I'll drop these guys off to school. I know it's totally crazy, but I'll do it. It's totally you guys. And
you're giving us your show.
I will give you the whole show. It only take me a couple minutes to drop these guys off.
Okay, well.
If
I'm
you
totally
trust
serious.
us with your show.
First of all, 100% do. All right, so here's what
I'll
we're going to
press
do.
all
I'm
the
going to
buttons.
put this over here. I'm going to give you guys a ride, okay? Give me 1 second. All right, folks, this is a little bit of a first. So you guys are on the camera. It's just you guys. Here's the phone. If somebody does call, you can just answer it.
Beautiful.
Okay.
And I'll turn this up so you'll be able to take their call. Just like that, and you'll be able to hear it through the headphones. This is crazy, right? But what are these guys going to do?
Yeah, kids need to get to school, man. We were just talking about education and how
Yes,
important it is. Can you
exactly.
please talk to them about responsible pet ownership on the way to school?
Yeah, that's
This
your
is-
homework.
This is going to be the craziest. It's just one of those things where it's like, it's so Saipan.
Get outta
Would
here.
this
We got
happen
it.
anywhere
Yeah,
else?
they're going to be late. Get-
All right, you guys, take it away.
Bye.
I'm going to bring my phone so I can watch you guys.
There we go.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, let's go.
Anyway, that was an interesting left turn. So here we are.
Yes, welcome to the Boonie Babies and Dr. Turner show. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. So actually, since you mentioned Boonie Babies, let's chat about that a little bit. Like what you guys do. I mean, I know most of the people know about you, but since we've
Right.
got the show,
Yeah.
let's tell them about Boonie Babies.
And it is good to always explain. It's one of those things where half the people here know us and half honestly don't. And so Booney Babies Rescue, we are a local 501c3 nonprofit. We've been operating for about 5 years now, although you've seen us long before that, snatching dogs off the street, unofficially. And we operate as a nonprofit here, rescuing, rehabilitating, and adopting out dogs. Although in the past few years, we've kind of directed more of our efforts at spay and neuter and sustainable change here. So that looks like education at schools and pop-up events. We have high school clubs where the students volunteer with the dogs and get to ask any and all of their questions and learn all things Booney dogs. So it's been a great process. The most important part of rescue here is obviously being a resource for the community. There's only so much you can do with 21,000 dogs, and so it's a little bit less about saving all those and more about saving future animals.
Yeah, and you brought up a really good point, which is what we were talking about, right? Like your rescue really kind of embodies that. That's where most people start, is like, we need to pull these puppies off the street. And then as you keep doing that, you're like, where did these things keep coming from?
Yes.
Like,
Well,
obviously that's not sustainable.
Exactly. In the beginning, you just snatch, and then you get up. We had our largest number was 63.
Oh, geez.
And we got to that number, and you looked around, and you go, there's thousands more. This is not sustainable. You can't catch them all.
Yeah, and
They're
that's
not Pokemon.
It's not Pokemon, unfortunately. We don't have enough of those little, whatever the balls are called that you put them in. But that like really brings up the point about, drives home the point about needing to do spay and neuter, right? And Saipan Humane Society is actually doing their spay and neuter clinic this week. I don't know. Do you know if they have any other open slots? They seemed pretty full yesterday.
They were completely full
Yeah.
as of the beginning of this week. I'm sure there'll be a few cancellations, so definitely keep your dogs on that list if anything opens up. But it was great to see that they were completely full.
Yeah, and that just highlights that the people are wanting this and they're looking for it. So when the
Absolutely.
vets do come in, like, they book up quick. I think like
Yes.
every single time we've done one, it's not like we're having to knock on doors and find animals, right? So except for when Parker Project comes out, I guess. But you know, they've done a really great job about bringing in those outside veterinary resources, because it's not here all the time.
Right.
And so I think what some of our conversations have been in the last couple of weeks is like, okay, but what can we work on here that can also work towards sustainable
Right.
change, right?
And sorry to cut in, but a good thing that you touched upon that I think is a massive misconception that we also held at one point is that dog control, going around picking up all these dogs, is helping diminish the number. And although it's a very crucial job and needs to be done to pick up those dogs that are dangerous or nuisance or suffering and in need, I think a lot of actions that the community kind of excuses and sees happening and is like, oh, it's towards a greater good, that is diminishing the population, and unfortunately, as we know now, it doesn't.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. And then the other part of it is like really the amount of resources that are needed to like run a shelter, you know, to have all the people to clean the kennels and even to have the space to keep cats, right? Because, you know, the situation where they're at right now, it's not the best. And so all of that, the feeding, water, cleaning, and then the humane euthanasia portion, all of that takes a lot of resources. And so really in the ideal situation anywhere in the world is we limit the number of animals that enter into the shelter system, because the more that enter in, the more money that it's going to cost to run the place. And so where else can we use that money, those funds, to work towards the sustainable change as opposed to just chasing our tail, so to speak.
And
with continuing
ensuring that there's humane practices in the meantime.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because right now the system is so overloaded with all of the animals that are going in. There's like not enough money,
Yeah.
people, and time to do all of the things.
I mean, to give viewers a more full picture, if you have never been to the shelter or you don't know how it works, Dog Control does their crucial job of picking up those dogs that they need to. Many are community calls, so that's where you get your dogs that maybe one wandered into a schoolyard and is acting dangerous and needs to get out of there to keep everybody safe. And so those dogs get picked up and taken to the shelter, which is good for the community. But then the system is lacking a little bit of where do they do and what happens to them once they get there, because then they're there. As we all know, there's very few adoptions. Everybody who wants a dog already has very many here. So then they sit in these kennels, which holds space and takes away from other dogs on the streets that may need to go there. And the situation in the shelter, there's no designated shelter staff. Dog control, again, like Dr. Turner said, is trying to juggle both. So these dogs and cats sit in these kennels and wait to be humanely euthanized, which is also another crucial aspect of a dog shelter. But the wait in between is the problem. Of there's many other ways to make that quicker, more efficient, and humane for the animals and easier for the staff.
Yeah, and part of it too, you know, because not everybody knows what our animal laws are, right? So when there is a stray animal out in the streets, then dog control is actually required to hold them for 5 days to see if it might have an owner to come in and get it. And 5 days is a really long time to be in the shelter. And I believe like statistics now globally say that an animal is less likely to find its way, 80-90% less likely to find its way back home if it goes into the shelter or
Yes.
versus just staying in its neighborhood. I know that's 100% true for cats especially, but dogs as well. And so we have this five-day period that's like mandated that we have to do on top of whatever waiting period, waiting for the staffing time to be able to move forward with those animals. And so it's just this really compounded problem with all of these issues. And so that's one thing that we could talk about with like changing up laws, like, well, can we decrease the stray hold time, how long they need to be in the shelter. And I know John Peevler, who's the Humane Innovations expert that came out last month, his recommendation for Guam was actually to not have a stray hold unless they have some sort of identification. And the reason for that was that so we can move forward with our trap, neuter, return program right away, so they don't need to be held in the shelter. So that's an option. It would be probably a bit of a jump for Saipan. We might need to do the jump to where Guam is right now and do a hold period of 3 days instead of 5, and then work towards being able to build up some kind of sustainable program for
It
the
would
trap,
take
neuter,
some
return.
adapting for the community and staff, but it is a very reasonable option and a good sustainable solution.
Yeah, I
to
think
minimize that
I
suffering.
think the point right now is just for the community to be open to some sort. You know, we don't know what change is going to look like,
Right.
but clearly change needs to happen. And so let's have those conversations and see what we can do to make it better.
Yeah, and if you're okay talking about it, I think it's also important to highlight there has been efforts in the past to provide those options for change and resources, trying to get improvement there, and training in the past. So it's something that nobody is just now working on it, including dog control. It's not an issue with the staff of, oh, we just realized this last weekend with this kitten. No, we've known this for years. Everybody working on this situation has been working on it for years. It's an ongoing process, and clearly one that needs to be going quicker and get a little more serious if it's been going on for so long.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, I know Saipan Humane Society, they're amazing. They actually got their start at dog control, you know, so there, that image right there says something that both of these organizations are willing to make movements forward. And by them being together, you know, they were in the same facility, they were able to kind of see where the gaps are, work on some changes. And so, yes, absolutely, in the last 3-4 years or so, there's been some really good changes of the shelter's cleaning protocol. We moved through, and I did euthanasia certification with training with them, so that they could actually perform the humane euthanasias without the need for a veterinarian. And what we do is we're able to do that without using the controlled drugs. And so it's a way to be able to move through, because prior to that, because again, there's no veterinarian that's here on Saipan, you know, you'd have to wait for a vet to
What
come,
do you
and
do?
that's definitely more than 5 days.
Brutal, yes.
So you know, there's been some small steps forward.
Yes.
towards better animal welfare. And so, I don't want to take away from those, because those are amazing steps. Look at where Saipan Humane Society is now. They've got their own clinic. They're busy. They're doing a spay and neuter clinic right now. All of that would not exist without the initial support of dog control. So that is a very, very important piece. And then it's just like, okay, now what's our next big step?
Yeah.
Where are we going to go from here? And so I'm really curious. I mostly talk to the animal welfare community, but I'm curious, like, what does the community at large feel about
Right.
this? And then you've been at a lot of the different outreach events and things like that. And so, like, what are you hearing when you go out into the community events? Because you guys just had one over the last weekend.
So that's always something that we're so curious about as well, because working in this field, we're kind of in our little bubble where the people we know care about animals as well. You surround yourself with people who are similar to you and have similar interests. So our friend group and our work group is all animal lovers, and then it makes you wonder, okay, is this just our bubble, or does the community as a whole share this ideal or not? And so it's something that we are always wondering about. Some days we're like, oh yeah, we're good. And other days it's a mystery. And so those community events are really crucial. And by community events, we mean anything that any animal organization or organization in general puts on and invites people from the community to come and participate. So the most recent one was Bark at the Park at AMP, and it was such a cute idea, so wonderful of American Memorial Park to put that on and host it. And again, we saw this go up. We were invited, as were many other organizations that center on animal welfare and serving this community. And as this event came up, we were all anticipating, is anybody going to show up? Is this going to be an event that people are interested in, that they will prioritize on their weekend? Or will we all be sitting there in our booths ready to hand out dog treats and have no dogs? And wonderfully, the community showed up. It was packed. There were people and dogs everywhere. Everybody was very responsible with their animals too, which was wonderful to see. They were all on leashes. They had their poop bags. They were getting Bark Ranger certified.
Was dog control there though?
Yes.
Okay, so they
Absolutely.
help keep everybody in line. Like, you're going to be responsible for
they were
others.
there, and they were handing out registrations.
Beautiful.
So you can
Nice.
register your dog and abide by that law with dog control. And there were so many booths of amazing people giving out information, and then the community members were there and they were welcoming it. So it was really great to see, and a very comforting confirmation that there are people in this community who care about animals and care about animal welfare and would like to see conditions improve.
We were talking before we hopped on the show. We were talking about, like, because this is the questions, like, how many of the community owns animals and how do you feel about them? And 100%, like, doing a population count and like a survey, like we just did in Guam last year, would be amazing to do here, because then we really get like the baseline of, one, how many dogs and cats do we really have on the island, because we need to know what we're dealing with
It's a
before
mystery
we can figure
right
it out.
now,
Yeah, it's a
yes.
mystery, and we use this 21,000 dogs as kind of our. We think that's about what it is, but who knows? And that was from, I think, like
2013 or
2013.
2012.
Yeah, that's over a decade
Long
old.
gone.
So who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what it could be by now? So redoing that, see what that is, and then also talking to the community, like, how many people own animals here, or have animals that like live at their house, right?
Yes.
Sometimes we don't. That's not mine. It just lives. It's like my dog
Yeah.
roommate.
Right, because in order to make any sustainable change, you have to know what you're working with. And so clearing up those mysteries would be really nice.
Yeah. So stay tuned, Saipan. We're getting that in the works of figuring out how to make that happen. There's definitely conversations. There's actually an app. We haven't talked about this yet, but there's like an app literally you can get on your phone to do the dog count portion. And so figuring that out, like, I think like
Nifty.
it's becoming a more real possibility. And I know when we first started talking about it, we were a little almost hesitant because we didn't know, like, well, who's going to help us with this? Because it is kind of daunting to think about, like, how are we going to count
all the
the
animals
animals.
on
Yeah,
the
exactly.
island.
So, but I think some of this momentum and people starting to pay attention, I mean, this is what we need to be able to make that happen. So,
And although it's daunting, it's not necessarily extremely hard. Everybody in the community is capable of telling you how many dogs they own, how many dogs they loosely own, and how many dogs live in their neighborhood or they see on the daily. So it's hard, but it's not impossible. It's very
Correct.
manageable,
Yeah.
especially with teamwork.
yeah, and I really feel like, because I know when we did the survey in Guam, and there were certain areas, you know, like were really like gated off, and we couldn't get to talk to people. Some people don't want to have that conversation, but I feel like, at least my experience whenever I come here, honestly, like I love coming to Saipan. It's just the people are insanely nice. It's always a really great experience. I make really great connections, whether they're with locals or the crazy wackadoodle expats that live out here. You know, they're great. They're these amazing characters, and so, you know, I really feel like it's almost in that aspect easier to do.
Yeah,
the
no
survey.
offense to Guam,
Yeah,
but
no.
the CNMI is something special
Yeah.
in welcoming people and having that kindness and ability and willingness to help. So every time that we've asked the community for help, they have stepped up, and we're super grateful for that.
And so my suspicion, just because of that warmth and kindness, and again, Guam is warm and kind, and
Sorry,
all of those
Guam.
things. That I love you, Guam.
Sorry,
I live
not
there.
sorry.
We're great. But whenever I come out here, you know, if I think about all the people and all the kindness and compassion that people have here, my assumption, and granted it's skewed, is that most people do care about animals too, right? Here, you know, so that's my suspicion. We'd love to be able to get that survey done so that we can like have actual numbers to back it up. And the great thing about like having numbers in the survey and things like that is that's what funders are looking for, right? Like when you want to, because this is going to take, it's going to take money, we can't lie. It's going to take money to make any kind of bigger shift, because that's kind of been what's slowing us down
Yeah.
so far, is just like with the constraints on budget and trying to build up these nonprofits.
Yes.
and needing to help the community where it's at now. It's hard to try and grow farther than that. But with the numbers, that's where we can say, okay, we have, let's say 23,000 dogs. We'll be we'll be conservative. 23,000 dogs, and then it's really just some math to say if we had this many vets over this amount of time, it would cost this much money, and then we can solve the problem.
Right.
So when it's like that defined, then we can say, okay, can you fund us? And then we have all the background of all the wonderful stuff that Boonie Babies, that Saipan Humane Society, that Saipan Cares for Animals already does. Say, hey, here's the groundwork that we've already laid. So like, there's efforts here.
Right.
We just need a little bit extra
Yes.
help. So.
And I think that's also something that we find frustrating at times and really hopeful at other times, of because we are an isolated community, it is an attainable thing to solve the overpopulation problem. Of course, like we said, it would take time and effort and money, but it's not like there's an influx of new dogs coming in. Once these dogs are taken care of and spayed and neutered and that population is halted, we're good.
Yeah,
And
then it's maintenance,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
And many people see the dogs around and they know it's a problem, but I know a lot of people don't realize how big of a problem that is. And we're seeing the dog population affect so many aspects of life here on island. For the dogs, of course, we want the dogs to not be suffering, but for the community as well. And that holds a lot of power of, I don't know if people are aware, the dog fecal matter is being detected in the oceans. So those waters that your children are swimming in, and the coral reefs are being damaged by this. And then you have, of course, all the diseases and the icky things that come with having animals roaming and living loose on the streets. So I'm sure as a veterinarian you see all that stuff quite often, but a lot of those things can be transmittable to
Yes.
people, which is a danger. You have the bite risk, which the children here, every single time I see a kid walking home from school and a boonie dog running out from their yard, it hurts to see, because that is a risk that is happening multiple times a day, every single day for the children of this community. And that sucks. I mean, we see bikers have to carry the sticks with them, which is completely understandable because these dogs can be dangerous. So you have all these problems with the community. Of course, tourism is an aspect too. No tourist wants to come here and have a beautiful beach and then turn around and see a dying dog. Doesn't look great. So for the community as a whole, this is also a problem. It's not just about the dogs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Welcome back. You
Speaking
made
of wackadoodle expats,
it. Welcome back, sir.
I was listening to you guys the whole
it.
time.
Did we do okay?
You guys were awesome. First of all, exception not the rule, but I know I got those kids there on time.
Excellent.
School starts at 8. They were there before 8. Yeah.
Good job.
All right, so also I just walked up the stairs, so I'm kind of catching back up with that, like running upstairs. All that stuff was great. We had a bunch of comments that came in. I was watching it. Yeah, I didn't actually tell you guys about the Facebook monitor question thing. So that's
We
one.
can't read that far. No.
That's okay.
I didn't want to get closer to the buttons and be tempted to tap them all.
I had considered giving you a real quick 101 on all that stuff, and I'm like, oh, it's going to be too in depth.
Better safe than sorry.
But you guys tackled a whole bunch of issues, by the way, about all this stuff, and hopefully nobody's throwing rocks from Guam after all of that.
Love you, Guam. Yeah.
Guam is great. Guam is great. In fact, I got to meet. We brought the whole family to Guam Gain to go and see. Maybe there's a dog, maybe there's a dog needs a little love or something like that. Didn't find the right one. We didn't want to just bring a puppy back.
Lucky for you, there's thousands more to choose from.
Here. Oh, I know. And you know where? There's a belly full of them at my neighbor's next door. We're just waiting to see. We already know who the father is. We've seen that dog that's from a different part of the whole neighborhood. Found his way up there. I mean, it couldn't have been his cute friend. No, there's a little chubby dog walking around. No, it's not that one. It's this nice fluffy black dog. They're gonna have great looking puppies. But yeah, so we're just waiting to kind of quasi adopt one of them as they come over for food from
And
time
then
to time.
snap your fingers and fix them all.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I don't know. They just kind of find a way somewhere to go somewhere. I don't know what happens to them or anything. I just know that we see a pregnant dog, then dog's not pregnant anymore, and there's a couple cute puppies. They come over for a while, and then maybe one sticks around.
Yeah.
And that's kind of that cycle that you guys were talking about. And I heard you say, a number. I know it wasn't like your hard and fast number, but like 23,000. Do we have like 23,000?
Oh, I literally just made that number up. So
Okay.
the number from 2013 was 21,000. So, but
Anybody's
it's quite an
best
old
guess
number.
now.
So who knows? Has it gone up? Well, what happened in Guam was our number was 60 in 2014, and then when we redid it, we're still at 60, which means that is basically our carrying capacity for dogs in our environment. So in any ecosystem, when you reach a carrying capacity, any number that goes above, there's going to be disease and starvation and the reasons why they die off so that they hold at a particular population. And so I'm curious, is 21,
Yeah, who
saipens?
Would love to know.
Yeah.
Well, Guam's got, not saying that we don't for sure, but wow, the more I go to Guam and the more I spend, because my in-laws live there, so I see more of like in the villages and stuff like that, not just like Tuman or something. Man, there are tons of dogs. I mean, like they could really, if they ran a dog as governor, could win because they got the voting block. I mean, like there's so many dogs, and I couldn't believe it. And I'm not used to seeing so many random strays, but and they're cool together, but they're not like really warm and everything either. So it's like an actual problem over there.
It can be scary.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, they have ripped bumpers off of cars. I don't know what's up with Guam dogs, but they do some damage, and they do the same thing, chase the kids going to the schools. You know, it's challenging. I wanted to go back real quick about like, because this is one thing that John Peevler did when he was out, was talking about like bite prevention, because it's such an important topic, especially for our kids. How do we avoid that when the neighbor's dog just comes running out when you're just trying to walk by? And so a couple of things is, one, unfortunately, the step one is don't run.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the
It's
reaction,
so hard to
right?
fight that
It's so
instinct,
hard to fight it, but
it
step
makes
one
it
is
so much worse. Don't do
Exactly.
it.
When you run, we trigger the dog's prey drive, and they're like, "Oh, it's on!" and then they're more likely to bite. Most of the time, what I found, when I'm brave enough to actually do that, is when I just hold still, they'll run up to you and then just be like, whoa, like you know, and they'll bark and seem really scary, but they won't necessarily bite. It's not until we move that they try and go for something.
Yeah.
So that was one thing. And then using like a jacket or a backpack or a stick, or actually John did one with an umbrella, open an umbrella. Dogs don't know what the heck that
Yep.
is, so that would be a real easy way for them to be like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yep.
And then it gives you time to kind of get away. So
Well, what I learned here, like when I first got here, you don't like. I don't like the idea of throwing a rock at a dog, certainly. But if you go for the motion, like you're picking one up,
They
they're
know
like,
what that
"Boom,
means."
I'm out of here."
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, no pun intended.
Yeah.
Boonies are big babies, and they, if you hold your ground, they do not have the brave to try.
Now-
Don't show them your back, because they go for weakness, but they're
So
big babies if it comes down to
I
it.
think we used to have a bigger dog problem than we have today. Only because when I used to train all the time, running and biking around the villages and stuff like that, I would get chased by dogs, and I'm like, oh. Like I couldn't believe it. You know, at least they'll start barking. They're like, oh, I think I can catch them, and then they'll start running up with you. But I don't really see that as much anymore. They're still out there. This is not saying that we don't have that issue, but it was so prevalent.
It's one of those things here, I don't know about your experience, but for me it tends to be very location based.
Yeah.
Some days I'll go through a village up north and be like, wow, we solved the problem. There's no
Yeah.
dogs. We're good. And then I realize it's probably about noon. The sun's beating down. They're all out of sight. And so you come back about 5:30, 6 boonie hours, I like to call them. And you're like, oh,
Boonie
they all
hours.
creep out if you're in the right village. And it's a big reminder they're still right there. They're just kind of hidden.
Boonie hours is awesome. That's like banker hours. It's just boonie hours.
I try not to go out during boonie hours because they find me.
No.
And then I go home with more.
yes.
No, you know what? Kathy is definitely doesn't like the dogs that can creep up on her. She's got more of an issue with cows, and I don't have a problem with cows. They're not carnivores. Like they're not trying to attack you and get a piece of you. No, and they're probably not chasing you in Marpy. They're probably more like, there's somebody. Like, come here. You know, like that's it. I'm a fan of cows. Don't want to keep one though. Seems like it's going to be a lot more work than keeping a dog. Anyway, the spay neuter stuff. You know, talking about those puppies that are going to be there. I don't know how long it's going to take before she gives birth. But what is the amount of time? Like, what's the right age to get them in to get them fixed?
So the minimum age would be like 2 months, 8 weeks. We can get them in as young as that.
Come on in. Yeah, you can still come in. It's okay. Thanks.
So minimum age would be like 2 months old. We can do them that young.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, you know, once they kind of get a little bit older, it's not that we can older as in, you know, 8, 9 years of age. Age is not a disease, but it's definitely a bit of more of a concern just for anesthesia and things like that. So really prime time to get them spayed and neutered would be ideally before 6 months of age. And then they kind of become a little bit more risky after 5 years of age. Of course, each individual animal, depending on what they've got going on with their internal organs, that might change a little bit, which is why veterinary exams kind of check and make sure they look okay. Another thing that's kind of a factor with surgery for them is we have so many ticks here You know, if you ever see those street dogs they're just like tick city.
Yes.
And ticks also carry diseases with them. And so there's these tick-borne diseases that can, one, cause them to like bleed internally. They don't have platelets, so they can't clot. They have no red blood cells. So that makes surgery a little bit risky. And so sometimes we have to very carefully figure out, like, you know, if an animal's covered in ticks and their like gums are white, which means they probably don't have a lot of red blood cells, we might say like, ooh, okay, we don't have diagnostics, but we're gonna go ahead and assume you have one of those tick diseases. Let's treat that first before we try and cut anything and make anything bleed.
Yeah, and right, that's super important stuff. And the health of your individual animal and their well-being is very important. But on the rescue side, it's also, I love for people to look at it as a team effort of, it's not just your dog. Like you said, those puppies show up and then they kind of disappear and it's not your problem anymore, but they're going off and they're making hundreds of more puppies. And so although your individual dog, you're like, man, I don't need it spayed or neutered, doesn't bother me. Okay, that's fair. It sure bothers everybody else in the overall overpopulation and suffering when they go make more somewhere else. So that's something to consider if you want to be a team player.
Even if callous people who don't really care about dogs think of it this way, dealing with stuff like that, that's making sure that your trash bags aren't going to get ripped open at the
We
house or
always
at the
say,
beach.
Love or hate the dogs. Nobody wants more of them here. So if you love them, help with the overpopulation. If you hate them, you also want to help with the overpopulation.
Yeah.
We respect both.
And I like that it's affordable over at Saipan Humane Society. Big time. That, speaking of the ticks alone, that's is it Simparico?
Simparica trio.
Oh
yeah.
my God, that
is
stuff!
magic.
It's so. So I was a Bravecto guy, not for my personal use, but it was it worked great, but it was not cheap, and the prices just kept going up, and all of a sudden here comes this miracle thing that looks just like it, and it takes care of the dogs. I gave it to our random Boonie that was hanging out here that I was gonna adopt. Until we found out that it had a real owner now. And the owner decided that it wants to take care of him again.
Oh, okay.
But gave him the Simparico trio and was feeding him for a few days. Now that dog looks like awesome, right? Neighbor's dog, same thing. Gave him that Simparico trio because it's great for the ticks, right?
And that's a great example of, I think there's another misconception in the community that it's so, you see these animals and they are losing all their hair and they're covered in bugs, hundreds of them, and it looks like an issue that would be so hard to fix. I mean, hundreds of bugs, you're like, oh my gosh, where would I even start? So I understand that's a big obstacle for many people of, there's nothing I can do to help that situation. And I don't think many people realize how easy it is.
Yeah.
It's just a few
One
little
treatment.
things. They're not crazy expensive. And then your dog is set. They're pretty good.
And not just your dog. That takes care, because all those other ticks that are out there, it's not just the ones on your dog.
Yeah.
They're going to get on your dog too, bite your dog, and then those ticks are going to die.
Yes.
And those fleas and all that other stuff. So you're really cleaning out your neighborhood one little thing at a time. So it's a great thing. I used to think you have to treat everything and all that other stuff. Just with that, it does magic, and it's great. Plus, your dog's going to love you quite a bit.
Yeah, it's like
too.
a little treat. Yeah, absolutely. Because it's like a, tasty little treat. Sometimes they don't even know it's medication. You're like,
They
okay,
gobble
good
it
job.
down.
Well, sometimes, and sometimes you got to use the thumb to make that stuff work. I don't know. That's my tried and true.
You haven't done like the little shove it in a hot dog kind of thing? Or do you have one of those smart dogs that will eat everything
I
else?
have
and
a
then
smart dog. That dog, I bet if I gave it sunflower seeds, it can, get the seed out and spit out the shell. That's how that's. Come on in. And so yeah, that's our dogs. And by the way, they're Boonie dogs, and they are the best dogs out here. By the way, so we've had a couple of labs that were awesome. Love them, big old lunky dogs and awesome, but they are not long for this world in this environment. Those Boonie dogs. So the older Boonie dog that we have now just turned 10, and she is still like fresh. Like our big lab that we had, I think, was 9 when she passed, and she was hurting for a while. So Boonie dogs, the best acclimated dogs to our climate.
They're
here.
really
But
good.
the other part of it though too is, so if you had like a purebred Labrador Retriever, technically the way that we make purebred animals is through inbreeding. That's how we got all of these different, genetically different things. When really, if you were to shuffle all the breeds and put them together, you end up with a boonie, basically. So, they've got a lot better genetics just by not being inbred with the same kind of gene pool over and over. So it's kind of like, back when we had kings and queens and then their kids would be like hemophiliacs and have all of these like clubfoot diseases and things like that because they were inbred. That's basically what we do with our purebred dogs.
To give you a kind of tangible example of that, because we were under the belief we're an isolated community, these boonie dogs have to be severely inbred. Always believed that. We've DNA tested countless of our dogs, and it will give you an inbreeding coefficient. The average for purebreds is about 25% inbreeding coefficient. Boonie dogs, we've never had one over 3%.
Oh, let's take that to people. I want to see how that works out. All right, no, not really. All right. Well, you guys, first of all, you can replace me anytime. Clearly, we've already proven it. You guys can run this show on your own.
We'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah, you
You
can.
can take the kids to school. We got the show, no problem.
I have a little bus. I'm just going to paint it yellow. That's going to be a thing. Thanks so much for coming on and bringing some attention to this terrible thing that happened and coming up with like some real tangible solutions of how these things can get fixed.
Yes.
And that's a real goal for this whole thing, right? Not that these guys did some bad stuff, just how we can fix it and make it a better situation all the way around. So.
And just one final note, and to get Guam to forgive us a little bit, they have such a perfect and tangible example. They're our neighboring island. They deal with the boonie dog overpopulation, very similar issues right here in our general vicinity. And they have a system that works for them and is helping the whole community and the dogs and the humane aspect of that and the overpopulation. So if you're interested in looking into, you mentioned GAIN, that's the Guam Animals in Need Animal Shelter. Everybody go check out their origin story, and that's a great plan that we can very easily replicate and see if that helps our community.
That's awesome. I love the facility over there. The people there are really friendly too. And my favorite thing when we were going there, it was over the holidays, and to entice you to adopt one of these cute little dogs, they put little neckerchiefs on all these little puppies and stuff like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I want to take 2 of them, one for each hand, because they're just absolutely adorable. Anyway, Bark in the Park, hopefully you guys bring that back again, because that was such a cool thing. And again, you guys were talking about that earlier. All right. Any numbers that people should know, or websites or socials that people should follow?
Absolutely. Go follow Boonie Babies, and we can send you all the information. If you have any questions about anything today, Boonie Flight Project's a great one. Saipan Humane Society for your medical things. There's a link in all of those bios for a petition going around to address the shelter problem here. So go sign that if you're interested and you want to see a better, more humane solution for this island.
Awesome.
Any shout outs for you?
No, I think I'm just here to support y'all. That's my my role, is bring the knowledge, just give you my brain, and then you guys can work on the issues here. And I'm happy to support in whatever way I can. And I'm looking forward to our continued conversations. Definitely, any of the community that has not already engaged, please do reach out to those organizations: Boonie Babies, Saipan Humane Society, Boonie Flight Project. They're doing amazing work. And they really drive the ship here. I'm just kind of here to help with directions.
Good directions. We need
All
it.
right. Well, thank you, Doc, and thank you, Your Majesty, for being here with us. We'll be back. We've got a couple of great guests coming on right afterwards. We're going to hear all about the school jubilee thing that's happening here in the CNMI. And I know it's a great name. I don't really hear it for a whole lot of other things, so I'm going to take advantage of it while we can. All right, we're going to take a real quick commercial. We're going to come back with more and more cool guests right after this.
Hey bro, can I grab your bush?
Yeah, man, go for it.
Right on. Thanks, bro. Hey bro, can I grab your bush too?
Sure, bro. Go ahead.
Thanks.
Now I can grab my own bush. Saipan, it's time to grab your bush. Pick up a 12-pack of ice-cold bush, and you're in for more than just a refreshing beer. Every 12-pack gives you a chance to win exclusive bush gear and more. So don't wait. swing by your favorite store, grab your bush, and join the fun. Because here in Saipan, the best moments are even better with Bush. Grab your bush today.
If you think girls and women's equality matter, stand up. If girls and women's sports matter, and you want your daughters to have the same opportunity you had, stand up. If you know that it isn't fair or safe to allow males to compete in girls' sports, because it's, well, obvious, stand up. Don't be cowed by people who call you a bigot. You're not a bigot. Don't let men tell us how to be good girls. Don't let others tell you you just need to be quiet. Sit down. Be nice. It's not nice to further a lie. It's not mean to believe in women's equality. We deserve our own sports, privacy, fairness, safety. We deserve a chance to compete and win. So don't be nice. Don't be careful. Be honest. Be brave. Fight for women. We've come too far to give up now.
And if you agree with that, stand up and stand with us.
Shiny smiles all around, where happiness is found. It's the little things that make it true. Shiny smiles start with you.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. Iranian state media has confirmed the deaths of Ali Larijani, Secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, and General Gholam Reza Soleimani, the head of the Revolutionary Guard's all-volunteer Basij force. Israel says it was their strikes that killed them. Meanwhile, Sagar Magane reports President Trump's again lashed out at allies today.
President Trump is fuming at NATO and most other U.S. allies who have rejected his calls to help secure the Strait of Hormuz.
NATO's making a very foolish mistake.
The president lit into an alliance he says should have reciprocated after years of American support.
I've long said that, I wonder whether or not NATO would ever be there for us. So this was a great test.
The refusals lay bare that the international community sees the Iran war as one of Trump's choice, one squarely on his shoulders. The president says that's fine.
We don't need them, but they should have been there.
Asked if it could force him to rethink America's relationship with the alliance or leave it altogether.
It's certainly something that we should think about.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
The director of the National Counterterrorism Center has announced his resignation. Joe Kent says Iran posed no imminent threat to the United States. President Trump started the war due to pressure from Israel. Trump's reaction?
It's a good thing that he's out because he said that Iran was not a threat. Iran was a threat. Every country realized what a threat Iran was. The question is whether or not they wanted to do something about it.
Police in Georgia say officers shot and killed a suspect after responding to a shooting at a Department of Veteran Affairs clinic in Jasper. One other person described as a victim was airlifted to the hospital. And Illinois voters are deciding primaries today for 6 open U.S. House and Senate seats. This is AP News. Seth Suttel now with the AP Markets Report.
Stocks ticked higher on Wall Street even after oil prices rose again because of the war in Iran. The S&P 500 rose 0.2% Tuesday. The index is coming off its biggest day since the war began. The Dow Jones Industrial Average edged up 46 points. That's about 0.1%. The Nasdaq Composite rose 0.5%. Airline stocks climbed after Delta and other carriers raised their forecasts for upcoming revenue. Delta price of West Texas Intermediate crude rose almost 3% to $95 a barrel. Treasury yields eased in the bond market. The yield of a 10-year Treasury fell to 4.20%. Seth Sutel, New York.
Lingering travel issues after yesterday's storms. FlightAware says more than 1,000 flights canceled today, 4,200 delayed. Ben Thomas, thanks for listening.
If you see something, say something, and stay anonymous. Call Crime Stoppers at 234-7272 or submit a tip online at nmicrimestoppers.com. No names, no caller ID, no recordings, just your info. And if your tip leads to an arrest, you could earn up to $1,000 in cash. Your tips have helped take hundreds of criminals off the streets in the NMI. It works because of you. Crime Stoppers, we want your information, not your name. PHI is your local pharmacy serving customers in Cagman, Garapan, and Dandan since 1996. Shop PHI Pharmacy for all your prescriptions, and we even offer a large line of multivitamin supplements. Our Dandan location is open weekdays from 8 to 6 and 8 to 4 on weekends. Or visit our Garapan and Cagman locations weekdays from 8 to 6 and 8 to 1 on Saturdays. Check us out online at phipharmacy.com or follow us on Facebook. PHI is a locally owned independent community Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
Alarm clock bark, sky still gray, radio clicks on, static haze. Good morning, Marianas, in my face, Brad yelling, wake up, Saipan, no escape. Coffee burns my lip, he laughs in my kitchen, talks like he knows every bruise that I am in. Good morning, Marianas, rise up, Saipan, hawks on the harbor, headlines in his hand. Good morning, Marianas, live from the reef to the ridge, Brad with the weather, and a dare on the bridge. Traffic on Beach Road, kids half dressed. He jokes about rain and unpaid rent. Says call the show, tell me what you regret. Then plays our song like a second chance bet. He says, say your name, we say it like a prayer. Through busted speakers, we are almost there. Good morning, Marianas, rise up, Saipan. Shacks and condos, all sing with the fan. Good morning,
All right, welcome back, Marianas. I know what you're thinking. I see your comments. Don't worry, we weren't really talking to you guys, so the music was totally going. Because I got a couple of guests. We were just getting them all prepped up and ready to go here in the studio, and really excited about it. And in fact, I wanted to show you guys something too, just because you were here when that happened. When we had our impromptu bus driving service. We are now the new COTA, without a quota. These are the kiddos from Hopwood that we rushed over there to the Hopwood after the bus. So it was great. It was a good opportunity for us to meet some of the kids who are normally out here anyway. And it was one of those cool Saipan stories. I'm telling you, it's great. You got an opportunity. What are you going to do with it? And that was us settling in with some of these kiddos. Well, anyway, speaking of settling in, we got a couple of guests who are here with us, and you've seen them in the community before, and now you're going to be able to hear from them about something really cool that's coming up. From the governor's office, we have Victoria Ballas, and she's part of the media team. And from the Humanities Council, we have Leo Pangilinan, or what most people call him, Mr. Patty.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, it's so great to have you guys. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thanks for having us, Brad. We have an upcoming event that we're really, really excited about, trying to push out to the community to honor the celebration of the 50th anniversary of the Covenant.
Which is amazing, and the more and more I'm here, the more I appreciate what the Covenant offers and the protections that we get, the strengths that we have as far as being able to leverage different things with the federal government, and then being able to appreciate the people who are actually negotiating with another country about the future of the place where they grew up and where they were born and raised and where their families are born and raised. Just, it's such an impressive document and an undertaking, and that we get to celebrate that it's still pretty young,
it's
50 years. So that's great. So tell us a little bit about it. So this is the CNMI, part of the 250 America 250 Commission. This specific event that you guys have coming up is the Commonwealth Jubilee.
Yep. Should I start?
Yeah.
This is really, now this is your baby. So yeah, you should tell us about it.
All right. Well, first of all, good morning, Brad, and thank you for having us on your show. And Hafaday and Tiro to your viewers and listeners. I do want to start with talking a little bit about the CNMI America 250 Commission. Yeah. Because this is, in fact, the first time that we're going to be talking on air about what this commission is. So I'll start there, and then we'll drill down into what's coming up in a few days.
Okay.
The CNMI America 250 Commission was established in 2024 by former Governor Arnold Palacios. It's an 11-member commission. Includes all the mayors of our municipal council, some agency level heads, our CNMI archivists, and I'm a member who represents the nonprofit community. I'm the chair of this commission, and our purpose is to create events and activities to commemorate and celebrate the founding of the United States of America, its 250th anniversary. So when we got together as a commission, we immediately honed in on the covenant. This is, the foundational relationship, agreement, and promise we have with the United States government as a people. And the commission's concerns were that there's this sense that it's been 50 years. Yes, that's short in the time span of 250 years of the nation. But we noticed that there was a gap with knowledge and appreciation among our youth about what this document represents, its value, and their stake in it in terms of, how they want to have this relationship with the United States forged and framed for their future and future generations. So we decided to create something that is not typical in our community to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the signing, or I should say, the 50th anniversary of our covenant agreement with the United States becoming U.S. public law. So on March 24th, 1976, President Ford signed our covenant agreement. And typically, we don't have a gathering of our community come together to commemorate and celebrate that. So we thought, hey, it's 50 years. It's a major milestone for us. Why don't we try to do something like that? And why don't we try to bring the youth together to expose them to the covenant and its value? So what the result of that is a 3-day festival, and I'll get into that, but that was sort of our focus as a commission. Let's put this on for a community. Let's make it happen. We also thought about other types of activities to reach different kinds of audiences. So we have a team actively planning a Covenant podcast series to cover each of the 10 articles in the Covenant, to sort of break it down and have a youth on the show also share their experiences and some of the stories of how they feel the Covenant has impacted their lives. We want to hear about their aspirations for this relationship we have with the United States. Again, to get the youth more engaged, but also when the youth present their opinions and perspectives, other youth tend to get involved in the conversation. And that's kind of what we're hoping for as an outcome of that podcast series. The third project that we've adopted as a commission that is still sort of in the works is something we're calling Marianas History Day or Marianas History Fair. And we want to work with the public school system primarily, but we're open to working with private schools to engage students in historical research on key historical figures in the Commonwealth, but also events that mark this relationship and history we have with the United States. The outcome of which looks kind of like a science fair, where students get to bring, exhibit what they've learned as a result of their research into our history. So those are the three main projects of the commission. They're all pretty much volunteer. And there have been a lot of other people that have come to support the commission's work in planning these kinds of activities.
Well, this is not something that just one person can do. I mean, it's a big thing that everyone's got to get involved with, and having a big commission like that helps. And I know that there's folks like, I can already see it in the comments. You know, it says, well, one, this was someone talking about the comment. Juan says, hey, you know, it took a lot of work to get our covenant, and I totally. And Luisa said, I love that that you're able to get this stuff going for the kids too. So this is such a big deal, and I think. I have a real feeling that you're aiming at the kids, but I think a lot of adults are going to learn from this stuff too, because
definitely.
A lot of people throw the covenant around and don't really, like, it's an easy read, you know, it really is, and it's great. And it just, for me, not all the technical stuff, right? But I mean, for me, it's like a history book that you can put yourself into, and the people who wrote it, some of them are still here, and you can ask them questions like your follow-up questions. You can go and ask Pete A. Say, hey, can you tell me about this? You know, I don't know if Mr. Santos is still like taking questions, but it'd be great. And I know we lost Mr. Sablan here. Those three were part of that project that we did years ago, right? And
and they were part of the negotiating team.
On
behalf of our people here.
And actually, we do have an activity highlighting the work that went into negotiating the covenant, and PA is kind of the main star of that activity. So we on day 3, on Covenant Day, which is March 24th, next Tuesday, we will be premiering a short docuseries on the establishment of the covenant, and then we will be hosting a community panel featuring founding father Pete A. Tenorio at American Memorial Park. So that's going to be from 9 to 12, and that's kind of the tail end of the series of events that are happening throughout the weekend. But they do start on Sunday, March 22nd, with a primary focus on indigenous culture, right? Prior to this negotiation with the United States, where we were, where we've come from, and where are we heading.
It's incredible. I mean, like, for other folks, like, it's like for like U.S. folks, like, you get to meet George Washington.
Yeah, pretty much.
You get to hear directly from Benjamin Franklin. You know, like, you are talking to the people who founded this system that we've got today. It's incredible. It's a great resource. It's better than any history book, any website, any app. You know, this is such a great opportunity, and you guys put this together is outstanding. I can't miss it because it's going to be amazing.
Well, I want to add to your your comment about the covenant being an easy read. So, yes and no, right? There is a lot of legal terms. It is a legal document after all. But I'll tell you, Brad, in my experience and the experience I've seen in others, is when you take the time to read through it and you ask questions of people who are knowledgeable about its sections, it's really empowering. It's empowering to know we have this as a tool to work with the most powerful nation in the world. And, you know, that it makes it special because we have a special relationship as compared to states with the federal government and other U.S. territories. And it's important for everyone to understand what those special features are. Yeah.
Well, unfortunately for me, I'm going to end up missing Sunday. I'm going to Rhoda for the Galitas Festival.
Right.
So I'm really excited about that. So I'm going to end up having to lean on you guys for all the cool stuff afterwards. But when we get back, you've got things going on for not just Sunday. It just starts on Sunday.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Sunday is going to be at the Civic Center, so close by to here. If I'm not mistaken, that's going to be from 12 to 9 p.m., focusing on different types of cultural practitioners throughout the CNMI.
Yeah. Let me take us back. The objectives of this 3-day festival are threefold. The first is to honor the history and traditions of our Chamorro and Carolinian people.
Mm-hmm.
The second objective is to reflect on America's influence in our community, culture, and all other aspects of America's influence here. The third objective is to consider the legal, economic, and other types of implications for this relationship we have through the covenant with the United States. And those three objectives are broken down into themes for each of those days.
Wow.
So the honoring our traditions comes on the first day. And the theme for that day is exhibiting our enduring traditions. And that's what Victoria was getting into. We are going to feature our Chamorro, Rafalawash, and Rapaganur Carolinian communities, their traditions. So we have 5 major stations that'll be at Civic Center, occupying the entire Gumahigay setup, and the seafaring Ud. And we're going to cover, we'll be featuring the seafaring traditions, a few coconut-made products, because most of us will agree the coconut tree and all of its elements are very important in island life and for our people and our heritage. We're going to talk about traditional body adornment.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about traditional performing dance and chants. And then we're going to talk about traditional healing and medicine. And we've asked the cultural practitioners to think outside of the box and have a different approach, a more educational approach, to share stories about how they've learned the skills and the knowledge and the crafts that they're exhibiting, to engage the community in experiential and tactile experience with the craft that they're willing to exhibit. So we're going to see them showing, for example, the traditional medicinal healers. We'll be preparing medicine. We'll be talking about the ingredients they're using. They'll be showing the ingredients. They'll even allow participants to taste some of the medicine.
Really?
Of course, they'll only provide...
We're trying to get you to stay here and not go to Rhoda.
Oh, man.
He's really...
Yeah, and the same goes with the coconut-made products and, the seafaring traditions. With the seafaring traditions, one interactive activity I know about is they'll be demonstrating to the public how to tie important knots needed as well as lashing. So that's the first day.
And that's like very different than most of the festivals that we have, right? I think there's been a lot of influence from our Smithsonian partners. Shout out to them. We have a team here that is visiting to go through this Jubilee with us. They've also imparted a lot of knowledge and a lot of feedback on how to make it really interesting, educational, and interactive. And I think that's such a unique and cool thing about the Commonwealth Jubilee. We're very used to kind of like the vendor setup through different festivals in the CNMI, whereas this one is really a focus on our culture and how to integrate community participants in that.
Well, it's funny you talked about the lashing, because I ended up seeing some of it firsthand, but not for seafaring stuff. I saw it for the artists making like jewelry and stuff like that here. His name is escaping me right now. It's killing me. He's over at the expo for the marathon, and he's making all kinds of stuff out of the wood and all that stuff. But he had a lot of great stuff.
Tyler?
Maybe it was Tyler. Yeah. He did a lot of work with the HEMA and everything too.
Yes.
And his the lashing work was so precise and so detailed and so great. Man, I was so impressed, like blown away. Yeah. Like he puts a lot into that. That's not just like hard work. that's like, there's passion involved when you're doing something that detailed. It was incredible.
And it's obvious he's perfected his craft. It's you know, it's an art form and a skill, and we have those people in our community, and we're hoping to get them out on this day to showcase that. And of course, again, thinking about the youth, to encourage the youth to perhaps take that up for themselves, to keep a little bit of our cultural heritage alive, you know, through their actions.
Well, No, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna go into the next day.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so that's the first day. The second day is Monday. If you're wondering out there, it's not a holiday. It's a regular
Well, not
day.
yet. We don't know.
We're not at the holiday yet.
But most likely not.
Okay. Monday, we're going to have a couple of distinctive activities in the evening. Both start at 5 p.m. One of those activities will be at the Garapan Fishing Base. It's called Heritage on a Plate. And it's an activity that features our local chefs. They'll be exhibiting and demonstrating local dishes, much like our cultural practitioners the first day. Only the difference here is we've asked the chefs to try to demonstrate, exhibit the background of dishes and how it's evolved through the influence of American culture. So whether it be recipes, how it's specifically prepared, maybe the tools that have changed in the kitchen.
The ingredients.
Since the 1970s when the covenant was passed, right? And we'll have chefs there making dishes that represent 5 courses. So we'll have appetizers, soup, salad, dessert, and main course. And we're trying to get at least 2 chefs or 2 dishes in each of those course items.
You need people to help sample these, right?
Yes, there'll be taste testing. Every chef will have at least 150 servings out for the community to come and try them out.
Look, I know that it's not easy to put this stuff together, so I'm willing to volunteer myself.
Yeah. We do need taste
try
testers.
and do some of that.
Yeah.
I'll even try the medicine. You get me some medicine. You get me some of the food.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that, and all the courses too.
Yes, yeah. And then to learn, you know, it's again learning about our heritage, appreciating it, and hopefully coming away feeling inspired to maybe make the dish yourself. We are hoping to get the recipes in time from the chefs to be able to package it and distribute it to the community.
People are
so I'm
gonna
just
share.
crossing my fingers that we'll be able to do
Right?
that.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're going to write down the exact recipe?
Like, that sounds great.
That's controversial.
I'm easy to please. You get some lemon, throw it on the fire. I'm great with that too. So like we could bust that out. I'll be happy with it. I just don't know how long to keep it in there. That's the thing. That's why I got to hang out with Paul Guerrero more often.
Yeah,
He
that's
knows
also
the right.
an art form. You know, there's no real right answer to how long. But okay, so the second activity that day that also starts at 5 p.m. is at the American Memorial Park. It's a 2-hour production, and it involves sharing information, film, stories about our diaspora community.
Wow.
Diaspora is the people that have moved away or have lived in different pockets in the United States, Hawaii or Guam. So basically off island, but they live around other islanders, right? And they form a diaspora because they still remain connected. And, you know, they have gatherings, and to some extent, those communities perpetuate some semblance of our cultural heritage. They're just transplanting it there. So we want to get into conversation to share with the rest of the CNMI community what exactly that looks like. What are those experiences of people who have moved away? So we do have a couple of people on the panel that will be zooming in, who are living there now, and we'll have some people that have moved back after living away for many, many years. We'll also have some film footage that were sent in to our activity chair. Layla Staffler is leading this activity, and they've been sending her little clips, and she's piecing that together to show the audiences as well. So it'll be a really interesting activity we're really interested in seeing the audience engagement too, to see what kinds of questions people in our community have of those who have lived away, because we take it for granted. I mean, those who have had the privilege of being able to travel off island. But I'll tell you, Brad, there's many people in our community who have not even gone to Maniagaha.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
so this is going to be an important, I think, eye-opening event for many individuals. In our
And
community.
where is the grass greener?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe the answer to that question.
Well, so there's a component to that diaspora that I got to meet during the pandemic. People who aren't Chamorro or Carolinian who have never been here, they're the offspring of the people who left and didn't come back. And I got to meet them through the Chamorro language classes. Mike Babakwa in Guam was doing those things online. I ended up signing up for that. And I got to make friends with people that are living in the States that have never been here. They're like, how are you there? Yeah. And I'm not there. I'm like, let's talk about it. And it was cool because, like, in fact, we ended up going to Pittsburgh for a football game. This is like 5 years ago now, an NFL game. And one of the people that we had met is living in Pittsburgh. One of the people who were in that class that had never been to the Marianas at all, who signed up just to learn those kind of things. And man, so this is a great opportunity for folks to really get in touch with their roots, the folks who never got to put their feet in our waters and walk on the beaches and get to meet people and enjoy the culture firsthand.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in some cases, those who have never set foot on our islands have the strongest drive to learn about our history and connect to the cultural heritage. And so I think it's important for many of us who take advantage of it here, because we live in it, we don't necessarily reflect on it or yearn for it, is to hear those kinds of experiences and perspectives of those who aren't in close proximity to it like we are, right?
This is awesome. I can't wait. And that's just Sunday and Monday.
Yeah, so ready for the third day?
Yeah, by the way, I imagine there's going to be a memo that comes out from Governor Apatang that says, we're going to make this an administrative day so people can fully enjoy this thing. Because Tuesday is Covenant Day.
Don't put me on the spot, Brad.
I think Victoria is hoping
right
for
now
that. Maybe even advocating.
No breaking news to offer you guys right now. But it's interesting because both of those events, like myself, Leo was really mentioning that the youth is targeted in a lot of these events and initiatives with the commission. But I myself, I don't know if I am grouped into youth anymore. But I would have a hard time choosing which event to go to, right? Like for Monday, it's really going to be interesting to see which event garners the most participation. I think a lot of these conversations, like Leo was mentioning, are really important to have, and it gets your gears going. And you mentioned a really important point too. Like, we haven't even really thought about the people that are of Northern Marianas descent but are not here. So that should be an interesting thing to look into and talk about.
It's going to be the food. That's where you're going to get the most people. That's
okay.
If you have any question about it, it's the food.
Okay.
But I would also guess that on Covenant Day, you're going to get more of the government folks who are going to come out, who would normally be at their offices and stuff like that. I'm sure they're highly encouraged to join it. And it's kind of an all-day thing. It looks like there's so many different things in different locations. Some of them you got to register for and everything as well.
So there's 3 distinct activities on day 3. Covenant Day, March 24th. And just again, to recap and emphasize that this is not a typical get-together. We don't have a main stage. We don't have ceremony. We don't have speeches. So the first activity occurs between 10 to 12.
9.
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
And that's a panel and film presentation. And I'll let Victoria go into that in a moment here. And then we'll have an exhibit at the Crown Plaza. We'll be using that room off to the right of the lobby that's been dedicated to showcasing our history and culture.
The lounge, yeah, right.
The lounge.
Yeah.
We have a team re-outfitting that to bring historical photographs that'll be blown up, some artifacts that we're making print copies of, so the community that walk in can take those away with them. What's exciting too is just yesterday I learned, this is a great story and I really need to share it because we may not see it. We may not have time to put it in this space, but last night I was having a meeting with the cultural practitioners about their day one activity, and someone said, hey, I still have the capsule that was dropped in the 70s on Agrigan Island that had the covenant and information to inform the residents of Agrigan of the turnover, of the switchover, that we're no longer a trust territory, that we became a commonwealth. And that time capsule he still has. So we're gonna try to get stuff like that into this exhibition space, so the community can, just have that, again, experience of walking through time.
That's incredible. That's totally worth checking out. I love the idea of being able to see this stuff. Like I will be here for these. This is good. I actually get back on Monday. Excuse me. So I'll be able to check everything out on Monday and then Tuesday. But like, this is such a great opportunity. Like, this is not something to sleep on. And it's all free.
It's all free. Open to the public. The only thing that folks need to register for is that third activity that I didn't talk about yet on Covenant Day. That's trivia night. Commonwealth Jubilee Trivia Night. Maya Pangilinan from the Northern Marianas College is leading that activity. It's reserved for high school and college students. And as the name suggests, teams will be getting together to compete to answer trivia questions about our relationship with the United States, our history, and the covenant. There will be prizes for a team that ultimately wins the trivia.
Come on, this is great. This is such a great, like, all the schools should be getting their folks out there for this too, and even building up to it. I don't know that every school has a real, and I don't know the depth of which CNMI history comes out in the schools. I know that there's the bilingual program and stuff like that, but
there is an NMI history course. Yeah, it's half a year or half a credit that's required for high school graduation. I know that there's a growing number of Chamorro Carolinian language heritage courses at the high school level. It's definitely compulsory for elementary, and I think leading into middle school. So there are opportunities, but then again, the short period of time dedicated to NMI history in our public schools, at least, makes it difficult for teachers to cover really the Commonwealth period. So a lot of our students don't get to engage in the more recent history that we have because of our 3,000-year history on these islands.
It's a real tough part. I imagine that the most recent part is the easiest part to get to, but like, I can't imagine being there's so many people who are so connected to the culture here and to the history, the opportunities for an educator, excuse me, to get out and bring people out there, bring people out to some of the sites, and bring people to the museum, and invite some of these traditional folks to your classroom too. Yeah. Like, these opportunities are real and, again, free. And I just don't know if everybody's taking advantage of it, but you guys are really putting it front and center for everybody.
I think that's the beautiful thing about this initiative, right? I mean, we've hit like a milestone in our historical timeline, but we are actively engaging and talking about the history of the Northern Mariana Islands, because as Leo was mentioning earlier, like, some of us take it for granted. I know myself, I think it kind of goes over your head, right? That we're living somewhere where there's breathing, living history around us. And I think also there's been a lot of focus on what's happening politically with the covenant. So there is an interest out there. There's definitely focus and attention towards these things. And I think it's really great that we're breathing life into it again, to really get that conversation going.
This is an amazing opportunity for the whole community to get out, and parents, bring your kids to this stuff. Kids, bring your parents to this stuff. Like, this is going to be a great celebration of history and culture that you will not want to miss. And again, it doesn't cost you anything. Now, aside from that great food that you're going to have on day two, at any of these other events, I know this is not like where you have all this other stuff, like you said, like the day three, it's like you don't have the specific speeches and all this other stuff. You guys just get into it and all that. Are there supporting things around it? Like, have you guys connected with like any vendors or anything that'll be in the area for any of these things, for like food or stuff, or do people just bring their own stuff?
It'll be very minimal.
Okay.
I'll tell you that. Like day one, when we want to exhibit our traditions, we wanted a focus on those exhibiting stations and not a vendor sort of layout that we're used to. But we will have a food vendor there. Because it's from 12 to 6, we know people might get hungry, might need a snack, but we didn't want the emphasis to be coming to an event to have a meal at the event. We wanted them to focus on the educational activity that we wanted to promote awareness around. But having said that, there are a few elements that we're going to sprinkle in on top of what I just explained. Victoria mentioned that a major partner for this Commonwealth Jubilee is the Smithsonian Center for Folklife and Culture. And they're also a very significant financial partner, contributor and donor. And we've agreed to allow them to bring in a national initiative that they're rolling out nationwide, which is We Hold These Truths. And if you know the Declaration of Independence, that's a very important statement that leads to...
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
Exactly. And on, right? So what they want to do is capture the sentiment of our community through one-on-one interviews with people that want to share their stories. They want to know their impressions of the festival itself. So there'll be a tent set up where they'll have recording equipment, inviting the community to come in and talk to them about their experiences and perspectives. Not just on that day of what's happening, but this relationship with the United States and their identity within our nation. The other aspect we wanted to sprinkle in there, because our Commonwealth includes many other cultures and people other than the Chamorro and Carolinian people who anchor our community with the heritage, right? And being sort of the first peoples here. In order to get folks to feel like this is also a festival for them, even if they're not part of the Chamorro Carolinian community, we do have a little station we're calling Share Your Voice. And we're really encouraging folks, mainly outside of our indigenous community, to answer questions about their sense of belonging here. What contributions their family have made to the CNMI community, so that people that frequent the station can read and hear about these different diverse contributions to what makes our Commonwealth today. The third sprinkling in that I wanted to promote here was that we'll be, hopefully if the prints get out on time, we'll be distributing a commemorative copy of the Covenant.
Ooh.
Yeah, it will include the technical agreement, so it's about, I think we're getting at 70 pages, the last I checked. We'll be distributing that for free. We haven't quite figured out how to do that, but you have to come to one of these events to expect to get a free commemorative booklet copy.
I don't know where I picked it up years ago, but I picked up a copy, like one of those little booklets.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Is it the really skinny?
Yes.
It could
The
be the
judiciary.
judiciary, yeah. Because they did host an event, I think 3 years back.
Yeah, they said when they celebrated an anniversary, I think it might have been the 35th or 40th anniversary of the judiciary, they produced a little booklet, and it was special because the justices signed it.
Oh, I don't know if I have a signed copy, so maybe that's not where I picked it up. But maybe it is. Now I got to go back and look to see if there's the autograph thing. Like,
Yeah.
Ooh,
Or like you say, you know, people in our community are very accessible. Carry that around, and chances are you'll get it
In
signed.
150 years, that'll be priceless.
That'd be awesome. I'll be here. Yeah, that'll be great. But this is special for me. I'm a history guy. I love history, and I love the history of here, and being able to be like, so I didn't even think about it that when I got here. Then I mean, this is the year we turned 25. Like, the Commonwealth was only like 26 years old. Like when I got here, you know, like amazing. Like that. It's hard to fathom that we're so young, and when it's a great perspective, especially for folks who aren't from here. When you see like all the challenges that we're facing, a lot of the stuff we're facing for the first time as a community, you think everybody's an expert in every single thing. At least when you think of people who are in government and in office, whether they're in the States or wherever. But really, we don't have like 250 years of this system to lean back on. We've only been doing this system for 50 years and figuring out, well, is this working for us or not, you know, and all that. So it's a really cool time to be a part of this here, right now.
Yeah, and to have these conversations to reflect on not just the benefits, but of course the challenges of having this relationship with the U.S. and also finding ways to, in our everyday lives, you know, the trade-offs if you're someone who wants to or is expected to preserve the local heritage here, you know, balancing that with the enormous influence that America brings to our islands and our people.
Well, and even thinking about taking a little objective, taking a step back, looking at Guam with the unicameral legislature versus our bicameral legislature, you know, what makes more sense for, like, is it slowing us down? Is it too cumbersome for us? Are we spending too many resources for doing that? Or should Guam be changing? Like, I don't know the answers for that, but it is kind of cool to see it, you know.
And also, so on that point, to remind everyone why did we create a bicameral and not a unicameral, right? And I'm not going to get into it, but it has a lot to do with having 3 islands instead of 1 and ensuring representation, some equality, some balance, and having representation from all 3 islands in our government.
And not just representation, but like equal, right? I mean, like having it levels the playing field. So people from like in a truly just representative thing, the folks from the needs of folks from Tinian and Rhoda don't get put on the back burner just because there's more people in Saipan. You know, and I love listening to the conversations of this. And this is not going to be like let's talk about that whole issue, but like Manny Castro had an idea about a unicameral legislature, and he thinks that he's got a good solution to make sure that the voices from Tinian and Rhoda don't get marginalized in that whole process. And like that's a topic for another day, another show. But I would love to hear more people talking about that and what they think about that whole thing.
Yeah. And, you know, whether you agree or disagree with that, it's important for our leaders to take provocative positions sometimes to get the conversation going and the ideas out. And so, you know, arguments can be strengthened, and ultimately we find the happy middle where people can all get on board, or at least a majority, right, on the direction moving forward.
Well, and now we got an opportunity where everybody can communicate too. I mean, this is so much easier. Excuse me. We don't even need a pocket meeting because everybody's here online. You know, we gather together when we do this kind of stuff. It's kind of neat. But I'm looking forward to this. It's the CNMI America 250 Commission. Is that the order of it? I'm reading it off of the.
That's right, correct.
Okay, cool. 50 years as a Commonwealth, and it's going to be all centered around this year around Covenant Day, Sunday the 22nd, Monday the 23rd, and Covenant Day on the 24th. Hopefully, if Victoria can talk the governor into it. It's all on Victoria if we get Monday off.
I mean,
folks.
the day 2 activities start at 5, so I don't know it would be a reasonable use.
We can change that.
Yeah. I mean, you want people to get there in time, maybe
I think
half
everyone
day.
gets off at 4:30, so. But I mean, we'll see. Anything's possible.
There you go. I'd say, Mr. Governor, tear down that wall. Or no, just make it happen. Make it happen. Give everybody a nice free day off. I know there's business people out there saying, come on, dude, we got to get to our offices. No, you can do it. We could do it for something like this. Anyway, 3 amazing days and countless events. Well, countless. You can actually count them, to be fair. But there's several events, and some of them involve great food and medicine. I'm excited. I'm so thankful that we have the kind of foresight that to put something like this together, so it's not something that just goes by, and we don't we miss a great opportunity to connect it. So thank you.
Thank you too, Brad. I just wanna. I feel like we're sort of winding down here, but I do want to make a couple of comments.
Yeah, please.
First is that I feel tremendously privileged to be working with an awesome team that have put this together, and I want to recognize them, primarily our activity chairs. So on the first day, we have Gloriana Teuira and Joseph Attao from the Commonwealth Council for the Arts and Culture, who are leading the enduring exhibiting traditions.
The cultural voyage.
Yes, the first day
For the
activities.
first day.
The second day, the food culture event, our Heritage on a Plate, will be led by Luella Marciano and Martin Duenas. Luella is the Director of Indigenous Affairs, and Martin is a manager at Marianas Visitors Authority. In the evening, the panel at American Memorial Park Theater is being led by Leila Staffler. On Covenant Day, Victoria, our very own Victoria, Bellas will be leading the panel in the morning with the film screening. The exhibit that's happening at Crown Plaza is being led by Victoria De Leon Guerrero. Not quite sure her position, but she works at the Department of Corrections.
Executive assistant.
Executive assistant.
There you go.
And then in the evening, the trivia night, as I mentioned before, is being led by Maya Panglinan with Northern Marianas College.
But also, we should give a special round of applause to Leo, because in his position at the Humanities, obviously you can tell by the interview we've had, he's just really so knowledgeable and so passionate. And it takes strong leadership to get everybody to come together and feel just as impassioned by this initiative. So it's an amazing team. And also shout out to your staff at Humanities. John Diaz has played an integral role in media.
He's our communications and marketing chair for this whole event. But also, just to back up too, I want to name our 3 major financial sponsors.
Ooh, yes.
That's the Smithsonian Center for Folklife and Culture, Northern Marianas Humanities Council, and the Commonwealth Council for the Arts and Culture.
Great. Well, you guys, this is not a small project, and the right people are involved. And thank you so much for doing this. This is going to be a great showcase for our community, and can't wait to do it. All right, folks. Anything else? Any other shout outs?
Just
I think we covered.
I think we nail it.
More information, on the website america250cnmi.org. We're distributing social media flyers. We'll get some print posters.
We are also on
boards.
Facebook, Instagram, CNMI 250 for those who want to follow. But the website itself is such a beautiful resource. There's a lot of good things that are posted there to use as an educational tool and just to keep updated with the Commonwealth Jubilee and the other programs that we mentioned earlier. There's going to be a lot of work that comes out of this commission, so it would be great for everybody to get involved.
All right, folks, that's america250cnmi.org. You're looking at it right now on the screen, and their countdown is on there. Look at that. This is really great. as I keep clearing my throat, I'm starting to sound more and more like the president. It's an amazing event. You want to get out there. It's going to be amazing. Great people, some of the best people.
Well, honestly, Brad, I think we've mentioned quite a few initiatives, but we welcome any and everyone to partner with us to host their own sort of commemorative event, whether it is in celebration of the semi-quincentennial of America or a focus on the 50th anniversary of our covenant. Private businesses, companies, organizations, individuals, they can always reach out to us and we can partner to see how else we can perpetuate what we're working on.
You know, it's so interesting because we had these folks come in, and Erwin and Sue Canham, the folks who came out here during the covenant, the voting for the covenant from the United Nations, we met some of their nieces that came out here because they had heard so much about what it was like here for the plebiscite and everything.
Wow, they heard from their aunts and uncles.
Yes, and so they flew out here from the UK and shared some photos and shared some stories and everything. And here I am. I'm looking at this great site that you guys put together, and the interview that we've got. Some of the things we're going to do when you mentioned John Diaz is the archives and how you guys have been really putting that stuff out there and featuring them. And they brought photos of them here in Saipan, their uncle here in Saipan at that time to even oversee that kind of vote. And you'd see like one of the photos of them was at Saipan Community School. Looks exactly the same. The church. They're like, do you know where any of these places are?
It's only been 50 years.
I know, but I mean, like you see, like the just a little sliver of the building of where the church is, that open air structure. I'm like, that's 100% the same place. They're like, no way. I'm like, it's right there. Go visit it yourself. You guys could take a picture exactly where they were in that spot. And they ended up doing that. So
yeah, please reach out, Brad, if you come across any artifacts that you think our community can benefit from. We'll be happy to get it onto our digital archive.
Which is the best resource. There's so many great things. I'm looking at one of these roundhouses here, right there too. Yeah. All right, folks. Well, that's going to do it for this segment. We are going to do one little bit when we come back, but at least for now, I want to say thanks to Leo and thanks to Victoria for coming on here and talking to us a little bit about this. We'll be back with more, but we'll be back right after this. Great.
Across the CNMI, businesses are developing their own skilled workforce through a registered apprenticeship program. Registered apprenticeship programs help your businesses build a skilled and competitive workforce. Paid, hands-on training ensures apprentices learn the skills your company needs, while you gain employees ready to succeed. It's more than training, it's an investment in your business, your people, and the future of the CNMI.
We see it as an incredible opportunity to partner with the CNMI Department of Labor pathways to get people trained in work that could be really valuable here in the CNMI.
They're looking for employers to join the program as it was new, and we made that call, and the staff at Department of Labor are very helpful and made the process very smooth for us.
With support from the CNMI Department of Labor Workforce Investment Agency, employers design training that fits their needs, while apprentices earn, learn, and stay committed to your company. Registered apprenticeships are a proven strategy for building a skilled, loyal workforce. We partner with businesses to help register programs, access training funds, and strengthen the local economy. Whether you're in construction, healthcare, education, or emerging industries, apprenticeships work. Together, we can keep our workforce strong and our economy growing. Become a registered apprenticeship sponsor today by contacting the CNMI Department of Labor Workforce Investment Agency Division at 670-488-2324 or email cnmiweowa@dole.gov.mp. This workforce product was funded by a $75,000 grant from the U.S. Department of Labor, Employment and Training Administration, covering 100% of the project costs. No non-federal funds were used. The content was created by the CNMI Department of Labor, Workforce Investment Agency Division, and does not necessarily reflect the official position of the U.S. Department of Labor. The DOL makes no guarantees or warranties regarding this information.
Israeli strikes have killed 2 senior Iranian security officials. Iran confirming the deaths of Ali Larijani, Secretary of the Supreme National Security Council, and General Gholam Reza Soleimani, head of the Revolutionary Guard's besieged force. Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar.
The regime can only be toppled by the Iranian people. Yet, without external help, the Iranian people cannot liberate themselves.
And Sagar Magani reports a top U.S. counterterrorism official has quit over the war.
National Counterterrorism Center Chief Joe Kent says he cannot in good conscience back the war. On social media, he writes Iran posed no imminent threat to America, and it's clear the war started due to pressure from Israel and its American lobbyists. 2 weeks ago, President Trump denied Israel pushed him into war.
No, I might have forced their hand.
Saying he was convinced Iran would start a war.
They were going to attack first. They were going to attack if we didn't do it.
Kent ran the agency tasked with analyzing and detecting terror threats. The ex-Green Beret is a former political candidate with right-wing extremist ties and had been on the job less than a year. Sagar Magani, Washington.
President Trump again lashed out at NATO and other U.S. allies for rejecting his request that they join a mission to secure the Strait of Hormuz. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky visited London, where he told British lawmakers Ukraine's anti-drone technology can be put to use in the Middle East.
Right now, there are 201 Ukrainians in the Middle East and Gulf region, and another 34 are ready to deploy. These are military experts.
Oil prices still rising. Brent crude, the international standard, above $103 a barrel. AAA puts the average price of a gallon of gasoline in the U.S. at $3.79. This is AP News. College basketball's March Madness is tipping off with 2 of the first 4 men's games. UMBC and Howard already underway in Dayton, Ohio. Texas and NC State coming up after. And Mike Hempen reports that means a lot of gambling.
The men's and women's basketball tournaments generate more wagering than any other event in the United States. The American Gaming Association estimates a record $3.3 billion will be legally bet on the games this year. The tournaments will tip off just 2 months after federal prosecutors announced criminal charges in a point-shaving scheme that allegedly involved 6 fixers, 17 former players, and 4 players who are active with their teams this season. Players are warned about associating with people seeking inside information about their teams or offering enticements to shave points. I'm Mike Hempen.
There's more news at apnews.com. I'm Ben Thomas. Thanks for listening.
Fox Sports Update.
It's Team USA's tournament to lose. Well, at least that's the expectation. Baseball is America's pastime, and there's no doubt that Team USA is stacked with stars like Aaron Judge, Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, and more. But other countries have stars of their own that have made their name in the big leagues. Take Venezuela, for example. Ronald Acuna Jr., Luis Ariz, Michael Garcia. But who is the better team? We find out tonight as the World Baseball Classic concludes with the final from Lone Depot Park in Miami. The Americans have gone 5-1 in this tournament and look for their first title since 2017. For Venezuela, they pulled off another comeback last night against the previously unbeaten Italy. They will look for their first ever championship. Also happening tonight, the unofficial beginning of March Madness. The first 4 kicks off as teams look to punch their ticket to the big dance. MEAC champions Howard are taking on America East champs UMBC. The winner moves on to face number 1 Michigan on Thursday. And then NC State squares off with Texas. The winner will face number 6 BYU on Thursday.
This is Ainsley Earhart. Thank you for joining me for the 52-episode podcast series, The Life of Jesus.
A listening experience that will provide hope, comfort, and understanding of the greatest story ever told. Listen and follow now at foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.
A big trade taking place in the NFL today as ESPN reports that the Broncos are acquiring wide receiver Jalen Waddle from the Dolphins. Waddle being shipped to Denver along with Miami's 4th-round draft pick this year in exchange for Denver's 1st, 3rd, and 4th-round picks. The 27-year-old is one of the fastest players in the league. He had 910 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns last season for Miami. And an interesting signing taking place today in the NFL as well, as the Colts announced they have signed Notre Dame basketball forward Carson Tout to a free agent contract. Tout played his final game with the Fighting Irish last week, and now the Colts hope to convert the 6'8", 250-pound big man to play tight end. The Colts have had success with this before. Former VCU basketball star Mo Alley Cox is entering his 9th season as tight end with the team. It's Game On with the Fox Sports app, available wherever you download apps. I'm Tony Genualdo.
Get more on the Fox Sports app and foxsports.com.
Join Fox in supporting our troops. From daily needs to global emergencies, help us be there for those who serve. Visit go.fox/Red Cross to donate to service to the armed forces today.
Waves crash hard, the shore don't break. Roots go deep, no storm can take. This land of ours where hearts ignite. Saipan stands holding tight. Tinian whispers, winds that heal. Roar rises, forged in steel. Island strong, we carry on. Through the dark, we find the door. Hold the line, we sing a song. Saipan, Tinian, Rota, Island strong.
All right, Marianas, we're wrapping it up. It is 9:36 in the morning here, and on Hump Day here on Wednesday. What an action-packed show we had today. I'm telling you, we had to push weather till tomorrow, I think. Hey, but one thing you can't push is Lent. You got to go all the way through. You got to make it. You can make whatever you gave up, all your fasting, all that other stuff. It's just a few weeks away from Easter. You can make it. I believe in you. And you can get some of those Lent specials available today over at Surf Club. You can fast with the folks over at Surf Club this Lenten season. Give them a call at 235-1122 to get your takeout orders. You can visit their social media pages for more of their promotions that they've got. They've got fresh flavors, island favorites, and Lenten goodness over at Surf Club in CK. You can't beat it. It's great. Unless you want to beat it by going to Great Harvest. There you can take them up. You pick. You can go and get great Lent specials at either one of them. But for Surf Club, give them a call, 235-1122, and find out what you can get. They've got all kinds of great stuff when you're thinking about lunch, because lunch is not too far away this morning. All right, and we're not too far away from the end of the show. I want to say thanks to all you guys for joining us today. From all the different folks from all over, talking about all the different topics. Folks from Booney Babies who are here. Aria, thank you so much for being here. With Dr. Mariana Turner, who is here from Saipan Humane Society to help us learn how to take care of ourselves. And you guys holding the fort while I took those kids to school, which was wild, right? That doesn't happen on a regular show. This is not a regular show because of you. Thank you. And I also want to say thanks to Victoria Bells from the Governor's Office and Leo Pangilinan from NMI Humanities Council for coming here and telling us about this great opportunity that's going to be here for the entire community, starting Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday for part of the Jubilee as we celebrate the covenant and the history that was the formation of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. All right, folks, that's what we got for you today. We will see you again tomorrow morning, bright and early, unless something else happens today, like if fuel goes up or something. My goodness, Brad, you're going to jinx it. Don't do it. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Thanks for being with us.